So like, put us on blast. Like, get it off your chest. Like, what grinds your gears, or like, what's an interesting take that you have that you would like to share? And not much of a mind too.
Okay. Well, every time I do like a know your rights in the community, a lot of times when I am invited to speak, I try to stay in the lane of what it is that I do, right? I'm not an immigrant, so I don't speak on the experiences of directly affected communities, but I will speak on the law. So I've been a licensed immigration attorney for over 13 years at this point, right? And so whenever I give these speeches at colleges or things like that, I always do a quick little section of dispelling myths about immigration law, the immigrant community, things like that. First of all, the idea that the immigrant community does not pay taxes or some sort of a leech on the economy of this country is wholly and entirely false, right? Undocumented people do pay taxes. There's something called an individual taxpayer ID number, an ITIN, that when you don't have a social security number, you can obtain by filling out a form, providing your information to the IRS. And most people trying to get some sort of immigration status generally are going to be judged on their moral character and whether they have or have not been paying taxes, regardless of the fact that they're undocumented in this community. And folks are doing that. That being said, while they're doing that, so much of their wages are going into Social Security, which is already broken in our country, right? The boomers kind of killed it for the rest of us. But undocumented people who pay their taxes, and even if they weren't filing tax returns, right, they're being paid in paychecks, and good chunk of that money is going into Social Security. And guess who that's going to? Us, American citizens, right, who can take out of Social, well, mostly our parents, right, since tapping out. But there are hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars that is keeping Social Security Administration afloat, keeping that afloat, that those people cannot cash in on at any point. Unless you are a lawful permanent resident or citizen, you could work your whole life, pay taxes, have taxes withdrawn from your payroll, and never get access to Social Security. Anchor babies is not a real thing. People thinking people coming here to have kids to bless them with citizenship. You have to be 21 years old before you can even petition a parent. And if that parent came into the country without status, like crossing the border unlawfully, once that baby, that anchor, turns 21, that parent would then have to depart the country to go to the country that they're from and would face at least a 10-year bar before they could come back. No one is coming here to wait 21 years, to separate from their kid for 10 years, to maybe hopefully get a green card one day. It's just like not a thing. These are all sort of racist dog whistles. And you'll notice, especially around contentious election times like that, right? The loudest white supremacist in the room likes to pit communities that are already disenfranchised against each other. So you will see the Trump administration saying things that are anti-immigrant rhetoric, supposedly in support of the Black community, right? These illegal immigrants are coming to take the Black jobs, right? Yeah, and it's not pie, right? And it's a really old tactic.
Maybe some growth I need to do in my own end, but also maybe it's not. But I think especially when it comes to like conflict, it's interesting to me. It's interesting to me when people be like, "Oh, we gotta turn the other cheek, and we gotta do it the Jesus way, and this is that." But sometimes I'd be wondering, like, what if God wants us to put this person in check? And I'm still the person I am. I think I'm still trying to, maneuver that. Cause like, do it. What would God do? Turn the other cheek, turn the other cheek. And sometimes I'm like, man, fuck that. Our ancestors don't turn the other cheeks now, or now we're in the liberty we can say what we want to say, what we do, what we want to do. But also, some people need to be checked. And I don't care if it's about white supremacy. I don't care about black gatekeeping. Like, you need to get checked. You need to get checked. And I can check you out with words. I can check you out with words.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that if you start to deconstruct respectability politics, which is where all of that is birthed from, to when they go low, we stay high, all that type of energy, is not to say that we should just be out here acting the ass, but like the respectability politics, when you get down to deconstructing it, all have bases in white supremacy and patriarchal bullshit, basically. And so I agree with you that like the conflict is necessary, and it also doesn't always have to be negative, right? As a white person that moves in, you know, plenty of spaces that are not meant to center white people, there's a level of having to be okay with being called out, with being gently reminded, being not so gently reminded, right? There's a level of conflict that you need to be comfortable with to exist in community, especially if you're raised in a space or in a culture that, you know, oppresses certain communities. The conflict is a tool for people to coexist and to better understand. And if we're all so defensive all the time about, you know, being told like, hey, that's inappropriate, or like, hey, that's not for you, or like, hey, maybe you don't need to be the center of attention here, or whatever
Yeah.
it is, right? um that's not a horrible thing, right? It allows people to understand their lanes and stay in their lanes, and then also like build more meaningful and deep relationships with people, because if you care about somebody, you will let them know, hey, that's a boundary, or hey, that's, you know, there's conflict in that, but the best relationships move forward positively with conflict.
Well said. No,